welcome back to the channel. This is Spencer Colgan from Spencer Colgan is Wallpaper. We're doing an exciting job in a beautiful old house in Tampa. These walls are plaster and lath, the ceiling is plaster and lath, and the owners are doing each room over to give it a really good look with paint and wallpaper. So they have this old bookshelf, right? And you know, they painted it white. I gotta show you the rest of the woodwork in the house. It's really old and really unique stuff. So they want this painted because this is gonna be the baby's room. And then we're wallpapering the rest of the walls and above the bookshelf. So they just had the ceilings done, beautiful ceiling white, and the ceilings were bumpy and everything. So now my job is to come in and wallpaper the walls over plaster and lath walls, which were really not even and not nice. So we skim coated the walls. We have to finish off our skim coat, make it nice and flat, and then we're going to spray the bookshelf. So what I've decided to do was use my HVLP sprayer, which I have featured on 2 recent videos in the month of August and September 2020. And I'm going to be using a number 4 needle for my Titan Cap Spray 115. But I want you to see what we did to our ceiling. Just, if you could just pan up on the ceiling. We have, for the first time on our video series of painting, we have masked off the ceiling. Because logistically speaking, the customer needed to get the ceiling done and then call us in to do the rest of it. So usually you wouldn't do the work like this and mask off the ceiling, but because they decided to do the walls like this and the bookshelf and timing, so we have to protect the ceiling that's nice and finished. And so because we're spraying, we don't want any overspray, anything getting onto the ceiling. But if you look at the ceiling, you see this? We've made ductwork, so to speak, in the plastic so that the air conditioner can push air into the room, but we won't be letting any dust suck into the system. These are the 2 sprayers that are featured in this video. On the left, we have the Titan Cap Spray 115. And on the right, we have the Graco Airless Sprayer, Graco 395. Your airless sprayer is the one that's used for production painting. Depending on the model you get, will determine how much volume you can put through this machine before it needs its maintenance. It's basically a schedule of how many gallons per month you can put through the machine, and depending on the needs of your business. Secondly, the HVLP sprayer is for tasks that may be production. You may be involved in cabinet making and therefore cabinet spraying. But this is going to be for detail work. Okay? This is for ceilings, walls, trim, and depending on the pressure and the tips that you use, can accomplish lots of tasks. Here you're looking at tasks that will be featured in this video, such as picket fences, areas where the object you're painting is separated by space, such as a picket fence or what looks like a jail cell, right? Or if you wanted to paint the bumper of your truck and you're going around all of these things, you want to give it a good paint coating. You know that you want something detailed, something where you can concentrate on these areas that go around this. Okay? Cabinetry. a bird cage, a chair. Think about all of the things in your house you may want to refurbish. How about a headboard? Okay? Those are the things that you would be using the HVLP sprayer for. And in this video, I'm going to be painting around cabinetry, a bookshelf. And you and I both know that cabinets have the facade, the side, the inside, and these are things that will require a lots of detail. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video and see which one is best for your project. There's a liability every time you turn on your sprayer with overspray and dust. But if you want that fine finish, you want to try to do everything you can to get the sprayer to work on your jobs. Roller and brush is good. A lot of people do it. And some people are so good at it that you only see a minor difference between brushing and rolling versus the sprayer. But the sprayer is a lot less on your body physically. So let's get to it, and I'll see you on the next frame. Here are two primers that are very common on the market. Obviously, both are from Sherwin-Williams. And the one on the left, you'll see, is an alkyd. The one on the right is your basic latex primer. So, what I like about the alkyd is that it's a stronger primer. And if you compare both, I do wallpaper, and I want my wall to be locked down. Here's why. For those of you who hang wallpaper, you know that if the substrate is not locked down, if it's not completely stable, what you get is perforations in your finished coat. When we hang wallpaper, we tend to hang it within 24 hours after priming the wall, right? And because of that, you know that under certain conditions, such as humidity in the room, your primer sealer may not be cured. The only time you can expect your primer sealer to be able to wallpaper right away, the only time, is when you use an alcohol-based bin or an oil base like Kills. You can wallpaper within an hour after putting those sealers on your skim coat. But we all know that customers, and even yourselves, I don't want to be smelling oil. This stuff makes you lightheaded. And the bin, the alcohol-based bin, this stuff affects your gait. You can really get lightheaded during the use of each of these products. But the alkyd has the benefits of oil, meaning strength, but it has the benefits of a water cleanup. It's an amazing hybrid product. In other words, you can clean your brush and your roller and your sprayer with water because it cleans up with water. If you clean up within an hour of using the brush, etc. That's what I like about it. Plus, it locks down the substrate like you're using full-strength oil. On the back of each can, you'll see the specifications on what applicators to use and information on your spray tip. And as you can see, I circled that information right in the picture above. So as we prepare the walls now for the skim coat, which is 90% plus done, I just want to show you what we're doing just to make sure that we get super smooth walls. You know why? Our wallpaper is thin. If it were textured, I wouldn't worry about perfection. Now don't get me wrong. If we were going to be painting these walls, we would make them flat as a baby's bum. Because if the wallpaper is textured, then my price is adjusted accordingly. But if the wallpaper is thin, I have to charge the customer to make the walls really flat. So we're fine tuning it. So just take a look at that fine finish. See it? See how nice and smooth the walls are? Let me show you roughness. Let me show you rough. Let me show you right here. Keep your eyes right here. Not good enough. Not good enough. We're just fine tuning it. Make it super smooth. Then what are we gonna have? Gotta get rid of this. So we're gonna brush it down, and then we're going to lock it down with our special primer. It's an alkyd, and that's going to be featured on the next frame on this video that I got from Sherwin-Williams. Okay, what's nice about it is that it's clean up with water, but it has the durability and the molecules of an oil-based primer to make your wallpaper lay on top of a super strong finish. That's what you want. You don't want to be taking your wallpaper down 6-7 years later and pull off the skim coat. So to keep your skim coat down and to protect your walls from the wallpaper glue, I suggest that you follow this video, but also my previous videos on what the best primers are for putting under your wallpaper. So in one of my videos, I suggested that if you had nothing else and you needed to get the raw joint compound, the skim coat covered, I suggested that you go with the $45 per gallon bin, B-I-N, Boy, Ida, Nancy. It's a product from Zinsser, it's alcohol-based. It dries in 15 minutes and you're literally ready to go right away. But it's expensive. And so this video shows you how to go about covering your joint compound, cleaning it up, priming it properly, and hanging your wallpaper and enjoying the product for years to come. Let's get to it. So as we're tooling off the skim coat job, you come up with these little imperfections, depending on how good you are with the skim coat process. Let's show them this one too. I mean, these things are inevitable. Can they see this in the camera right here? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me just show you. With my bare hand, I can get rid of most of that, okay? But you take a nice smooth sponge, wet it up, and then you're gonna just tool it. Look at the angle at which I'm using my 12-inch, right? It's gone. Let's do it again. Nice and easy. We don't want to awake all of the compound, just the top layer of it. Just to do this. Let me tell you something. You do this for 20 or 30 years, it's going to wind up in your lungs. You want to perfect what we call it wet sanding. But the idea is that it's almost a dry process, whereby we just take a damp sponge, wipe it down, and literally, that's ready to prime. Now you say, well, I'm not that good at it. Okay, so how about this one? Can they see that? So I'm not that good at it. My bumps are a little worse than yours, okay? So in that instance, we'll be a little more aggressive with the sponge, using the sponge as a sander, okay? I'll even squeeze it. Let's get some water out on that. Now, let's see how well we can do that. I'm gonna try to shade down the roughness, okay? As you can see, it's coming off onto here. And now, I'm just going to pull it, smoothing it out, pulling my blade, reawakening the top layer. Okay, And what I'm trying to do is use the excess on the blade to fill in that ridge. Now, don't despair if that's still there. At the end, you're just going to go around to all these stubborn spots. You can see it's stubborn because we're against the wall, and you know, it's hard to get our blade in there. And so you might tend to have these roughnesses next to your thresholds, your doorways, or your trim molding. And so you leave that like that. You leave that for the end, and we have it circled so we know what to come back to. And we just take a little 5-minute mud, fill that in. We wait a few minutes and we're ready to prime it and hang our wallpaper. So now we're almost ready. We want to clean off the dust before we prime it. So I got this to do it. There's no residual dust from the other job. There's a lot of dust on your walls. Don't underestimate the problem that dust will cause to your paint, your primer, or wallpaper. You want to get this stuff off the wall. The best way to check it is, after you dust it, check out your hand. Now we have an interesting task in front of us, something from which I hope you draw a lot of information. This is my general purpose primer that I'm going to use over raw skim coat. Okay, in the video that I produced in the last 30 days that spoke about my go-to primer, I said generally that's my go-to primer, right? Today I'm going to use an alkyd. Okay, I normally don't use it, but I'm going to it, okay? You can use a roller, but now we're going to be spraying it. I'm using a Graco 395, and I'm using a green tip, okay? And my tip falls within specifications of the material. I can use anything between a 0.015 to a 0.017. I'm using a 517. This includes 517. So if you have any questions about that, ask your paint store, not your local box store. They don't really know. Or if your local paint store doesn't know, simply call the people from whom you buy the material. Sherwin has a good tech crew. They get right on the phone. They'll answer your questions. For the cabinets, I'm using one of the finest paints on the market. Look at this stuff. Let me show you the homeowner's equivalent, okay? This is very expensive paint, okay? It's urethane trim enamel. We're going to be using this on a bookshelf. If you're a contractor, this is the version the contractors buy. It's not a pretty label. Contractor gets a cheaper price. Because it costs less for Sherwin to sell this product because they don't advertise it the same way they do this. But it's the same stuff. Okay, this is a water-based alkyd. Okay, it's very durable for bookshelves. Okay, this is the version of this for contractors. I had it colored to the color choice of the homeowner. She wanted a cream color, and also on the back it has the specifications that you want to see and read for your products, how to clean up, what it's appropriate for, etc. Also, it has the specifications, just like this one does, on what applicators to use, and if you're choosing to use a sprayer, the size of the tip, etc. We're going to be spraying our primer on the wall. It goes real quick. It's one of the best ways to get it on. It's a little more prep, but you know what? It's 1, 2, 3. We got our Graco 395. This information that I'm giving you is generic. It's pretty much for every sprayer. We got to get the paint in the sprayer, right? if you've been storing this sprayer, it has lubricant in it. You have to get the lubricant out. The system works, material in, material out. In order to get the lubricant out, you have to draw material in. What are you going to draw in? Your primer. And you're going to stop drawing out on the grass when this starts coming out. Because when this starts coming out, your system is purged. So this is my inlet. Make sure that it has no debris on it. I'll put this right in the paint. Okay, it's already stirred up, but if you wanted to give it another stir, you could simply do it with your pipe. Now, here's throat seal. Can you come around and just show them this? Just show them this seal here. You want to lubricate this each time you use it. So let's get the system lubricated. All right, so I'll take my outlet and we're going to now get this piston moving, okay? So we're going to put the system on prime. So if you just come around and just show them the black, this goes for your Titan, all your brake goes right here. We have it facing down, which means the system is going to purge the lubricant that's in it, and it's going to come out of our outlet, which is in water. And so we'll see, as soon as it starts turning white, we're going to stop. Okay, but as we're doing that, we're going to be lubricating the thing. So if you just come behind me and show them how we lubricate this thing, because if they have one of these machines, they definitely want to know how to do this. It's a quick squirting of this material right into the piston. So I'd like them to see the piston moving. All right, cool. There you go. He's lubricated. Now, let's explain. The system is now purging pink. You can see it coming out. Now watch this. See the pink coming out? Look, there she goes. We know our paint is coming out. The system is now purged. It has paint in the box. But our entire hose, the outlet system, still has lubricant. So, I'm going to now switch it to spray. Either way is good, this way or this way. We'll turn it on now where the material starts coming out. But here's where you got to be more careful and prudent. Let's go. Okay, very good. We are now ready to spray. We'll clean off that grass. What did we let out? A ½ ounce of white paint. There you go. All done. Now your Graco 395 is charged. The box is charged. The 50 feet of hose is charged. It all has primer in it. Let's start spraying. So, we got everything in place. All the floor is covered. We have our sprayer hose inside. Now, just a tip, if you're doing this, make sure your sprayer is on, outside the room, and the pressure is set. Because if you get in the room, lock the door, and realize that your machine is not on, you're gonna get frustrated. I haven't done that before. Okay, let's get ready and let's do this. And when you're sealing off your doorways, you'll see how we put the tape. We attach it to the trim. Why do we leave a little space there? Well, We don't want our joint compound getting stuck and us pulling this off and then cracking our joint compound. That's why we do it. So, okay, put a nice seal around that door and we're gonna get started. Okay, so now we're going to get the paint that we just sprayed out of the system. So we're going to, like before, introduce into the system and discharge from the system. Now, instead of bringing paint into the system, we're going to bring water into the system. Because ultimately, we want to clear it out. And so here we go. Our draw or inlet is here. That's our water. Let's dump this out. I got a little murky. Okay, so we're going to draw water into the system. Now here's what I'm going to do. Because I'm still leaking paint, watch what I do. Now, you folks who are mechanics, what would you do in order for that paint, even a residual, to leak into your water? What would you do? You'd start it before you put it in there, right? That's what we're going to do. We crank the switch up on spray, and we're going to put it in while it's moving. This way this won't be leaking out. See that? I'd rather lose a little paint than put water in my paint. All right, that's it. Dump this a little more in here.
What I'm doing right now is drawing water into the system, just like if you were going to be spray painting right now. I'm drawing water in and I'm discharging it into a bucket then into the grass just to see if any's coming out. You see that? And I'm depressing the trigger there, and a little white is coming out because I discharged most of it into the white bucket near my left knee.
I don't want to be mixing this in my paint, so I'm discharging it right into the soil here. All right, our system now has clear water coming out of both the spray hose and the outlet here. Time to introduce our lubricant. Dump out the clear water. Let's not waste it. Let's just put in what we need. Sometimes I overdump. By the way, can they see this product here? RV Marine, $2. Graco pump sprayer, $30. Let's purge it first. So we're going to watch this. It's going to push out water. Just come in close. Okay. So clear, clear, clear. Oh, there she comes. You see it, right? Okay. Turn that off. Switch it around. Now what we got to do is send it through the hose system and the outlet system. We'll pour a little more in. Okay. This way your system stays nice and lubricated, all the metal parts, all right? Now, let's get the spray going. I'm gonna dump this right into the grass. So clear, clear, clear. And you'll hear the difference too. You'll hear it. Come on now. That's all water in the hose. Okay, do you hear that sound like you're at the beach and the water is coming up on the shore? That's your lubricant coming out. And I can see the puddle of pink. Okay, let's just send it through the other orifice. We turn the sprayer around. Let's just shoot water through there, make sure there's no gunk in our tip sprayer. Okay, one last thing. Turn it all the way off. Get the pressure off the system. Okay, we have 2 filters on the system that need to be cleaned out. Okay, you can see that it's pretty clean, right? Put some lubricant on that, making sure that it's clean. And then there's one other in the gun, and it's right in here. You take that out, run water through it, making sure that the system is all free of paint. Our pressure's off, it's pointing down. I have already taken the filter out. So I'm just going to show you how to make sure that you see this is where the pen-like or pencil-like filter goes into the contractor gun. I don't like that. I need to just hose it off a bit. Nice. Things cost $200-300. Okay. Now, let's discharge paint through here. Put it back on spray. All right, I'm all right with that. Pure pink. Everybody see that? Very nice. We're done, folks. Look at how beautiful. We are done, and that's how you clean out your system. Get yourself a little pipe cleaner. Now, if you're speaking to it, hello. If you hear hello, hello, That's clean. Hello? I'm only kidding. Okay. Gorgeous. Reminds me when I was a kid in Brooklyn, New York. They used to have water fountains at the park, right? You'd go up to the water fountain, believe it or not, press the thing, and the water would come out just like this. Check this out. And we would drink it. Today, we're worried about drinking out of straws. Okay, that's it. Now we're switching to another sprayer. We used our Graco 395. That's an airless sprayer. We're switching to an HVLP, Titan Cap Spray 115. Why? We're spraying cabinets. It's a bookshelf, but it's cabinetry. And so we want to be able to put paint in the crevices and in odd places without putting too much material on the surface. So if I hit the same surface 5 times in order to get the facade, the side of it, the back of it, if I use the wrong sprayer, it's going to be dripping like a waterfall. This is common sense for those of us who use sprayers, but you may want to spray. And so I explain it to you because you don't know. An HVLP sprayer is a sprayer that you use for surfaces that have a lot of intricacies. A picket fence. When I was a kid, we had picket fences all up the block. And they turned like this from the bottom, they curved up, and then they went around like this. And on top of this, it had pickets. You would use an HVLP sprayer for that. If you used an air...
So an HVLP sprayer is used for items such as the ones you see on your screen. With all these parts and all these little pieces, you don't want to be blasting what you're painting with an airless sprayer. The HVLP sprayer allows you to paint the facades of these things, the insides of them, going around the other side, and allows you to apply paint on the same area with multiple layers. You see, these are all examples of what you would use an HVLP sprayer for. If you were to try to use an airless sprayer on this, first of all, you would go through a lot more paint. And secondly, it would be dripping all over the place. It's just not something that you would do. But I share this information for the do-it-yourselfer, not for the pro. You guys know, I understand that. But don't forget, please, I have a lot of do-it-yourselfers who watch my channel, and I get a lot of comments in my videos from do-it-yourselfers who really appreciate the details that I share. On the other hand, a lot of the pros watch it, as we all do. We watch other people's stuff just to pick up any tips or tricks that we may like to know that we've never used ourselves. So please, just bear with me if this is information that you already know. Now with an airless sprayer.
Oh, I didn't get the pickets. Now it's dripping because you already hit it with paint. An HVLP sprayer allows you to hit around the same areas without too much material coming out onto the surface you're painting. And it allows you to hit it several times. Okay, so we have 10% of our cup is water. Why? The material I'm using is very thick. And so for the HVLP sprayer, Titan 115, I know that we need to put water. We're not cheapening the paint. No. We're making it thin enough to go through our already thin accommodating needle, which is in this housing. There's a brass needle in there, and it controls the amount of volume that comes out of the tip. And so that needle and its diameter, being the correct size, plus thinning down of the material gives us the finish that we as professionals are looking for. What is this product? Earlier in the video, I explained that this is the industry equivalent of our urethane enamel from Sherwin-Williams. Okay? Same people, same maker, different label, different cost to sell it. It's the same stuff, it just costs less for them to sell this because of advertising expenses. Okay, so let's get it into the cup. And let's get this loaded up into our system and get into the room.
So why don't I do some commenting as I do a voiceover while I spray. This machine is just awesome. If you're a new painter, do yourself a favor and hustle a little bit and pick yourself up a Graco 395. Why Graco? They don't pay me to advertise for them. The parts are all metal. You don't have any plastic in there except for the seals. It's a good painter's tool. It's your baseline, the 395. And if you check with Graco, they'll tell you how many gallons you can expect to put through that Graco sprayer in X amount of months. They'll say, oh, this handles X amount of gallons per month. That's your baseline sprayer. And you can expect to pay about $1,000 for that sprayer. For the one I'm using right here, I have the attachments to it. I have 3 cups for it. The cups alone, the thing that I'm holding in my hand right now, you're looking at $350 worth of equipment. But Titan will give you that free of charge when you buy the sprayer. I got to tell you, I'm on the phone with them all the time, practically, when I use this. Titan and Graco have technical assistance, and you can call them when you use the sprayer. Hey, listen, if you're spraying lots of material, thin stuff, moderate stuff, thick stuff, you want them on the phone to save you the time. They'll tell you the proportions. And by the way, somebody on my YouTube channel said, hey, Spencer, why did you mix it with water? Why not Floetrol? And I said, that's a great question. Well, when you speak to Titan Tech, they'll tell you only use water. And they'll tell you with that product, they know the products like the back of their hand. They'll say with that product, you want to thin it down 5%. Don't do any more than 5% with water. So they're telling you what to use, okay? And so if I'm unfamiliar with the product that I'm using, or it's the first time I put it through my sprayer, I'll give them a buzz. If I've used it before or a similar product, I'll just thin it down accordingly. But I'm not opposed to calling Titan or Graco for help. It's a great company, both Titan and Graco, so use their services. And you can get them on the phone within 5 minutes of calling. So the video is about Titan and Graco, my 2 sprayers. And the theme is airless sprayer versus HVLP. And so what you're looking at is something that only an HVLP sprayer would accomplish successfully. Okay, you're not going to come out with an airless sprayer, even with a 210 tip, let's say, because that's going to give you only a small fan of about 4 inches. The amount of material that's going to come out of an airless sprayer is literally more than 3 to 5 times the amount of material that's coming out of the sprayer right now. Not only that, the thickness of the material, you're not going to get the same application. I'm putting multiple coats on this cabinet right here with this sprayer because I'm controlling the amount of material that's coming out because of the sprayer that I'm using. You go to the Airless sprayer, it's going to give you a very thick coat of paint. This is going to give you a very thin coat of paint. What I just demonstrated there was that at the tip, you'll see the fan control dial. And so you can turn it going vertically, or you can make it horizontal. And that controls how wide the fan is and the direction of the fan. So if you were doing pickets, for example, you would use the fan control horizontally, oddly enough. It doesn't correspond with the appearance of the fan tip. So if you just wanted to do 5-foot spindles on a staircase, your fan tip control would be horizontal because the spray pattern would come out straight up and down. It's just a little detail about the intricacies of this sprayer. You see the plantation shutters behind my arm? That's something you would use an HVLP sprayer for. Okay? You can try to use an airless sprayer with a fine finish tip, and you could successfully do it. But the chances of getting drip are magnified significantly. Wouldn't you rather use an HVLP sprayer for detail work? That's what it's for. The Graco Airless is production. The Titan cap spray or any HVLP is for small areas. Even though this looks like a large bookshelf, it's a small area. You're looking to get into little areas. You see that area below the ceiling of that bookshelf and above the blue tape? You want to get in there with multiple coats, multiple passes, I should say, with this HVLP sprayer. But at the same time, you don't want to put too much paint in there. You see, just passing back once or twice is not going to cover everything in there. So you have to hit it a few times. I'd say like 3 to 5 times. With 3 to 5 passes, you're going to get into all of the details of that crevice. I hope that with this video you understand the very basic differences between an HVLP sprayer and your basic airless sprayer. Another distinction between the HVLP and the Graco Airless, or any Airless, or any HVLP sprayer for that matter, is the manner in which you move the applicator. In this case, the applicator is in my left hand there. And you'll notice that I'm moving pretty slowly, right? Because the HVLP sprayer is controlling the amount of material that's coming out. If you move too quickly, you'll get what looks like a dotted pattern, a serrated pattern. Take a look on the highway when we drive, right? You have those white lines that are interrupted. Okay? that's how your spray pattern will look if you move too quickly. If you move too quickly with the airless sprayer as well, you will get an interruption in pattern. So the basic difference with the manner in which you apply the paint with the different sprayers is the speed with which you move the applicator. With an airless sprayer, you're moving much more quickly. In fact, if you don't move quickly enough, you're going to flash. Minimally, you're going to flash the paint, which means that you left too much paint in one particular area for just a half a second too long. Especially with flat paint, by the way. Flat paint of all paint will flash real quickly. So you may get away with something like a shiny paint that might not flash as much because it's already shiny. But you leave an airless sprayer on in the same area too long, or it goes too slow in one area, and you speed it up in other areas, you'll notice a shiny area that's called flashing. You're not going to have that problem with the HVLP sprayer. It's meant for detailed work. Okay? Now, the boxes inside of my cabinet here, or the shelving, is a challenge for the applicator that I'm using for this. Titan has various sizes of the applicators you use in order to get your paint onto your surfaces. And they have a much smaller cup that comes with the product when you buy it. So that's not going to be featured in this video. I'm just trying to demonstrate the difference for the do-it-yourselfer between the airless sprayer and the HVLP. By the way, you can rent these, and a lot of people are renting them these days, and I get questions about these particular products, and so a lot of the people that watch my channel will just simply go out and rent them, and they want to know, hey, what do I do? What do I do with this sprayer, or what tip do I use? Because the people that rent them don't always know.